Well, do we have a special one for you this evening, everybody? We are graced with Kagey vision, and that is the vision that we all want, clarity and realism. And I'm absolutely buzzing to have him back on the channel, back from the debrief days, but we're here and we'll be doing more things together as well. It's fantastic to collaborate with the great man himself. We're going to be speaking logistical signings. We're going to be speaking about loan moves, potential free agents, Daniel Farke's campaign so far, and ultimately everybody. And obviously, we're going to be getting your questions in as well from the chat. But make sure you're liking the video, everybody. And without any further ado, the man with the action plan, it's Kagey. How you doing, bud?
How's it going, man? How's everyone doing? Hope everyone's well, feeling good, smelling good. Connor, it's nice to be back. What's going on, man?
What's going on, buddy? Yeah, we've got loads of love in the chat already, my friend. It's good to have you back. And some of the chat didn't realize that we were doing stuff on Kagey's channel yesterday. Make sure you check that out. Formulaic as always from the man next to me, and it was good to really chat the stuff. But you guys might not have seen that, so we're going to do it on here as well, and then go and check that out. You might have 2 hours of Connor and Kagey. Wow, you lucky people. David Lamb says, good evening to you both. Think we all know what went wrong. The bigger question is, can Farke get it right next year? That means players, systems, and substitutions. Well, Kagey, thank God we had a little bit of clarity today. We were just talking about it off air, and it's really difficult to make content when you're just being speculative and it's hypothetical, mate. But it feels like we've had a solid response, and it's been something that we've probably, well, we haven't, have we, as Leeds fans, by owners? We've not had any sort of response post-season from GFH and Radrazani, really. Tweets and stuff, we all know that, or I know that in particular. But it's quite nice to have that solid response post-season, and very quickly as well.
No, it was impressive. And Parag, I think even when he first introduced himself to the club, it was good. He set out the plan. We knew what he meant in terms of short-term plan. It was to get up this season, but because it hasn't, he's quashed all the rumors, quashed any talk of the manager going. And you know, as I know, this summer is going to be all transfer news and everything else like that. Now you can kind of plan forward with Daniel Farke at the helm, and you can kind of see who in the squad he didn't use too much, who he didn't trust, and think about replacing those with people he will trust. And then hopefully he will utilize the squad a lot more than he did this season. You know, stats, eye tests tell you he didn't utilize the squad near enough. But that should be part of the plan going forward. And as Parag says, he's the man going forward now. So any speculation about Steve Cooper or anyone else, got to put that to bed and just focus on what solutions we can give or, you know, suggest for Daniel Farke to make Leeds United go up as champions this season.
But we do have to take a step back. Listen, I need to. They'll know my views, Kagey, and everybody on your channel knows your views. But this collaboration is absolutely key. And for those who haven't been watching Kagey's content, we need to get a little bit of a viewpoint and you know an opinion on Daniel Farke, an opinion, a synopsis on the season so far, mate. So what are your thoughts on it, Kagey? I guess the overarching question is, was it a success?
No, it was a failure. When you look at the league, you have to look at everything in total. And if this was a better league, if it was championship of before the pandemic, then you could probably have an argument, because there were clubs then buying players for 8-10 million in teams that weren't even in the top 6. It's completely changed since the pandemic. That everything has gone down. P&S has kicked in. And you saw from the league and the league quality, it was the top 4, and that is it. The rest of the league was hot garbage. Really, it really was. And when you have the X Factor players that we did have, well, currently still have, by the way, in Somerville, Jorginho, Nonto, Dan James, Peru, and Bamford for the spell in terms of at this level, you know, you have unutilized weapons like Mateo Joseph that just did not get enough minutes. We should have done more than enough to go up. And, you know, people always talk about the tricky start, even Parag did, but you know, we only lost 6 of our first 40 games in the league. And I think people forget that. It's the end where it all fell apart, where we lost 5 of the last 9. So you can't just blame the beginning of the season. It's the end where we absolutely collapsed. And that is due to Daniel Farke's lack of tactical flexibility, his lack of usage of the squad. As I said to you yesterday, there's times where we had a game on Saturday, which would be a tough one. You would think on the Tuesday, Wednesday, we could possibly swap out a few players. but you knew what the starting lineup was going to be. It's the same one that won on Saturday, and that's something he's going to have to utilize a lot more next season. And hopefully, with the 49ers, like we say, with Parag sounded good, but he's going to have to give Daniel the tools in order to see out this vision that they both have. Because we will lose the talented players like Somerville. He's been linked with Chelsea and everything now. But it's about maybe you lose the star players, but maybe you shore up the areas that we've been lacking. You know, we bought 3 central midfielders last season, and they're pretty much all the same. Gruev, Kamara, Ampadu, all defensive, not one goal between them. So you would hope that the squad makeup will be better this summer onwards.
Yeah, totally agree. I think we were speaking yesterday about some of the problems. I mean, Kagey, we're sort of very well aware of Brownie, who comes on the channel, and Brownie was maybe looking at the bench, and sort of, it's his opinion, of course, it's football subjective, but he was questioning a little bit toward the end if the bench was good enough, and I completely sort of concur and understand with what he's saying, but I guess in a line with what you've just said there, Kagey, how can you really judge the bench when it never gets utilised? We never employ any rotation whatsoever. We can't really question these lads who are getting 8-minute spells on the bench, or if you Cresswell, Joffrey, and maybe even Connor Roberts in there, you just caught cold.
Yeah, exactly. And you look at this level, you got to think, are you sure Joe Gelhardt couldn't do something while Jorginho was recovering from a hernia up? During those games where Jorginho had lost, you could see he was going into tackles a little bit more cautiously. He didn't look the same for a long time after the operation. And you just think, surely Gelhardt could give you a little something there. I'm not saying a world beater, but at this level, I think he could have made more of a difference. He could have helped out more. Jaden Anthony gives Somerville a little bit more respite during that sticky period of the season. Use Ampadu back in midfield when that defensive partnership had finally gone to pot, and then bringing Charlie Cresswell. And that was a problem that we had in the playoffs, because by that point, it's too late. Like, he cannot bring in Charlie Cresswell for a semi-final or the final. We're not using him for all season, because then he looks crazy. You know, he can't then use Mateo Joseph after not utilizing him near enough to all of a sudden come in to make it a bit different against Southampton. So he has to, maybe he didn't trust the players. We'll find out this summer exactly what he thinks of these players, because it is his ship. It's quite clear Parag trusts him implicitly with this talent. But both of them have to get it right, because if it doesn't start off well, Daniel's going to have a short leash. And I think when people say it's crazy to think of Farke going with I hate to say it, but we're going to have to say it, kind of, with the 90 points. It is important to encompass all of those points as to the reason why we didn't make it. Let's not forget, the 3 that came up have been relegated. 2 of the 3 that got relegated have gone back up. We are the outlier. You know, we are the Leedsy one, as always. So, and there's reasons behind that, of course.
Yeah, and Ipswich, with that squad, it's not a better squad than Leeds United, and they amassed more points and got into the top 2. So, yeah. Quite right, KG. You know, we can be talking about Southampton. We can definitely be talking about Leicester as well in terms of squad depth and stuff. But look, we missed out to a newly promoted team who were exceptional. Of course they were, but we should have been even more exceptional. I think that's
that is it. And just on Ipswich, they were exceptional, but they faltered quite a few times, and we could just not capitalize because we just didn't. And you saw some of the results we got. I mean, Cardiff helped us out twice. I remember 2 positive results Cardiff got was in our favor, and it's like, well, now all we got to do is do our thing.
Norwich,
we didn't do our thing.
Norwich was the other one, wasn't it?
Yes, Norwich helped us out. They beat Ipswich. So we didn't capitalize it. And that's where Daniel Farke as well. This is something else I want with Daniel Farke, just a little bit more accountability. You know, he says a lot of things where it just seems like he doesn't think he's the problem. And he was talking about how we were always chasing it. And that's just not true. We went top of the league. You know, we weren't always chasing. And I just hope that he isn't looking this summer and thinking, well, it wasn't me. It was just the players. I'm going to carry on, because we've got a lot to work on. Set pieces, fluidity in football, use of wing backs, if you're going to use them. There's a lot to work on in terms of improving the team.
Yeah, there really is, and you know, he's got to adapt. He's got to evolve. I think that's pretty obvious, KG. Yeah, I think it's such an important period of time, and you're just hoping that Jordan Miles, he's been there for 6 months now, hasn't he? He's been hopefully drawing up a list Premier League wise and Championship wise. But I think it's quite right to say, and me and you were probably more vocal than most when it comes to criticism, and that gets us probably more flack than most as well.
Yeah.
But Leeds United were in a really positive position post international break, KG. And how do we look? Yeah, KG's got a bit of an echo going, but I think it's sorted now. I think it's just a little bit. Yeah, I think it might be on the settings, mate. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, how do we sort of like deem the post international break, KG? Do you think it was more of a mentality thing, or I mean, we were speaking at the start of the window, at the start of the season, mate, about it being potential burnout to have so many young players involved in this. Do you think it was physical and mental, or maybe one or the other?
I think everyone we all talk about the post international break, but everybody had the international break. And it's not like we can use the excuse of we have loads of Welsh people that were disappointed, including Dan James, who missed the pen. Ipswich had 4 Welsh players as well that continued afterwards and were fine. I don't know what it was after the international break. We did come back with a few injuries. Gruev didn't come back fit. Obviously, Jorginho wasn't fit, and he's a big component of the way Farke likes to play.
I think Nonso was out as well, wasn't he? I think.
Did Dan James get hurt? Oh, he got hurt after the international break, didn't he? I think.
Yeah.
But I think it's just one of those things again. And I thought it was going to be different, especially when we went on that unbelievable unbeaten run. I thought the mentality had switched. I thought that this group and this manager had finally, ridded us of the whole badge being too heavy. But again, it come crashing down very heavily, and no game encapsulates that more. I know there was a few other defeats, but that 4-0 against QPR, that kind of told the whole story.
Had to be the worst, didn't it, KG? It had to be the worst of the season.
I was furious because we were still in it at that point. And the fact that we went down to QPR, who, let's face it, look, they're near the bottom of the league, but they're not one of those that part the bus. So they do play football. And the fact that we couldn't counter that or didn't have the ability to, that was a disgrace. And that was probably the beginning of the end when you look at it in hindsight.
I'm going to ask you a really direct question, and you're probably going to turn around and say it's a combination of both things here, which I completely understand. And a lot of people in the chat, I want you to answer this as well. What did it side on this year in terms of the barometer? Did you think it was more sort of individual quality or tactical prowess? Do you think there was a good balance, or do you think it swayed a little bit more one way and we should have been a little bit more, I don't know, it should have been a little bit more advantageous for Leeds United in one way or the other? Which way do you think it was, Cage? Because there's a lot of people saying, look, where Farke got us 90 points. Okay, definitely. But where do you attribute that?
Yeah, for me, overall, it's got to be tactical.
Okay.
When you look at, and again, it's you have to look at the league. When you look at the league, there's no other team in this division, probably bar Leicester, and not even Leicester really, have a Somerville. When you look at Leicester's best wingers, they don't have Somerville's numbers. You look at a Jorginho, Nonto, Dan James, Ampadu, Joe Rodon. You're looking at a real good team.
Sorry, are you saying that there's more of a tactical flaw then because we have so many good players? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and don't get it wrong. I'm not saying that I'm Farke out, because I'm not really angry at the news today. I'm just going to say, well, they've decided we're going to have to see how it goes, and that is it. But he does need to be more flexible. You look at the way we've played this season; it's very slow, very methodical, and at times there are times where we could get shots off, but we do about 8-10 passes. And you look at certain things that have happened through the season in terms of the wing backs. They're hardly existent. Firpo, I know his assist rate went up, but the amount of times we see Somerville getting double, tripled up, Firpo's nowhere to be seen on the outside. He's not even there. So everyone's tucking in. We do have a more defensive lineup the way that we go with Gruev and Kamara, and it was working for a long time. But that, again, is when he should say, right, it's not working anymore. You know what, Ampadu, please go back into midfield. Charlie, come in. Let's try something different. And he didn't do it. Mateo Joseph, Bamford had his little purple patch as he does, goes off the boil. Farke then defends him and says, it's Patrick Bamford, and I think you're hyping up Joseph too much. You know, he goes with the start of the season. Go back then. Jorginho Rutter is a super player at this point in time, playmaker. Maybe his goals will improve as the years go on. He is not a striker, but he goes on a 13-minute monologue as to why Jorginho plays up front, Joel Perot plays all the way in midfield. That's where I think he trips himself up at times. He's stubborn, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to learn from your mistakes for me. And I don't think he did that enough this season. Just quickly go back to beating Norwich 4-0. Awesome result. But we know what the formula Southampton were cooking. Russell Martin said it pre-game. We know what we've done against Leeds well. We'll do that more. And they did it again. We literally saw almost a carbon copy of Adam Armstrong goal from Ellen Road at Wembley. And that is where I think he's tactically naive at times.
And really interesting as well, Kagey. I saw today that Leeds were the only team in the division that Southampton had less possession than. So Martin adapted and just thought to himself, well, not only formation-wise am I going to adapt from a 4 to a 3 at the back here coming up against Leeds, but I'm actually just going to give you the ball and you break us down and we'll hit you on the counter-attack. And I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those. We did that one time, I think, against Middlesbrough. Maybe someone else in the chat can let me know, but we did that in the second half against Middlesbrough when we beat them. Was it 4-3 in the end when we beat them? Yeah. We let them have the ball and we said, all right, come on to us. We'll break on you. And then we saw what Somerville and co did, because that's the stardust that we have in the team. I don't think we did that enough. And I think in terms of what was I going to say? In terms of his tactical, like I said to you on my channel, I thought that Archie Gray, we're going back to that 4-2-3-1, whatever it is. When we're in possession, maybe Archie Gray goes into midfield to help, counter Aribo's small bone. And it was the same as we played against Norwich. So it's a shame.
Yeah, it is. We'll just get into a couple of your chats now, everybody. Phil said, since Stoke, Farker has been scared to change. Cresswell should have been brought in for cup games to get game time. At Easter, we had top 2 into our hands. And yeah, I think that's essentially what we're saying, really. It's one of those things where Leeds United had it in the hands, and unfortunately that is the scenario that we've had. Ryan said Joseph may want to leave too. That is a scenario that I don't want to think about, to be honest. Should we touch on that, Kagey? Matteo Joseph, probably the one who you're looking at right now and thinking, boy wants minutes.
Yeah. Is this still echoey, by the way? I've unplugged it and plugged it back in. Is this okay?
Do you know what it is, Kagey? You sound absolutely sterling, mate. It's more when I talk coming through your end, but it sounds okay now. Sounds much better now.
Okay, yeah. So Matteo Joseph, man, if now we know Farker's here, and again, this is perfect why it's good that he's been confirmed. If I'm Joseph, I'm asking what role am I given next season? Because you even had Farker when he was defending the Bamford over Joseph saying Joseph has only got 1 goal in 15. Zero context behind it. The fact that he gets 8 minutes here and there, very disingenuous. And I wouldn't blame him if he left. I really wouldn't, because I do think that if he had got more game time, there's no way of proving it, of course. I think he gets more than the 7-8 goals that Bamford did, just through the way that he plays. He's quicker. He holds the ball up well. He's much more mobile, good in the air. And he's a 6-yard predator, man. And we lacked that. Absolutely lacked it. And I don't understand why he didn't get more game time. And I think it was telling how he's going to be used after you get 2 goals against Chelsea, then not even see a minute against Huddersfield where we drew 1-1. I think that kind of told you that it was almost done. But I don't know if he stays. Maybe he does if they finally let Bamford go. But I wouldn't want him to go. I think he should be one of our striking options next season.
Yes, Kagey.
Yeah,
100%, my friend. 100% he should be staying. The boy has some serious capability, I think, at this level in particular. And we've seen so many players, haven't we, Kagey, in and amongst the Leeds United side who've thrived. We can even throw Somerville in that. I think, developmental year in the Championship has worked wonders for him. Obviously, he wouldn't have had that in the Premier League. Rutter, for the season he had, where when he did feature, it wasn't great coming down. Archie, having that exposure, his first season exposure in the Championship. And obviously, Matteo Joseph having that level down. And he's done it for club and country, Kagey. Club and country. Yeah. Two countries.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? I always look at it another way. If Matteo Joseph was the player he was at another club, we'd be looking at him like, hey, I wonder if we could get Matteo Joseph. I'm sure some people look at Ellis Sims the same way. But I look at Ellis Sims and I think, well, we've already got someone like that here. He's already here, but we just haven't used him enough.
Yeah, and that's got to be the positive that we take away from here, because I think youth has got. I mean, we'll get onto a few bits going forward, Kagey, but I think the youth has got to be harnessed next year. You know, we can have a discussion about Darko JB, can have a discussion about him at least being within the ranks. I think he's got a lovely technical ability about him. Matteo Joseph, Joe Gelhart, Charlie Cresswell, if you want to keep him around. Let's not forget. I don't think it'll happen. Don't think it'll happen, but we do. But we do have a foundation there to at least develop on. I'd love to see the youth given a little bit more, to be honest, next season. I think that should be prevalent for Leeds United as a bit of a, you know, way to go forward. Now, KG, I wanted to get onto who you would potentially, and I want the chat to get involved as well, who you'd maybe potentially look at moving on this summer transfer window. We know that Leeds have to owe a certain amount back. We know obviously the wage structure has to be freed up a little bit. We know it's going to be Somerville. We know it's going to be Willian. So, but aside from the obvious names, KG, are there any others in the Leeds United ranks that you'd maybe be looking to move on to free up a position and wages?
Yeah, it's funny because if I did my keep sell bench thing a couple of days ago, it's changed already. And it's just purely from the league we're in, and just thinking, well, if we move this person on, who realistically can we get that's better? And that does have to come into it when you talk about championship football. The first one straight away is obviously Patrick Bamford. I think that is, I mean, well, you know me, that's well overdue. I think that is,
Preach.
yeah, you know, the joke's over now. Enough, you know, enough now. Let's move him on. You know, you see, you know, I'm seeing other clubs, you know, call the fat in their squad. It's time to get rid of this guy. Because if we're relying on this guy to be the spearhead yet again in this football club, that's negligent in itself.
But KG moves.
Yeah. I keep hearing that. You know what? The one game where he actually held up the ball post, that nice run he went on in January, and he was good. Again, I'm not unfair. If he's in form, I will say he's in form. And I even said that he should start the cup game because he was hot. You know, if you're in form, let's just keep him riding the hot wave. But the one game that I remember was Middlesbrough, and you know, he's getting a lot of stick, and he kind of thrives off that from opposition fans. You know, he likes to get under their skin, and he was brilliant against Middlesbrough, but those few far between. And at this level, where people told me, by the way, kind of when we came down, Bamford will easily score 20 goals in the championship.
He's never done. Has he ever done that?
Yeah, he didn't even do that when we was creating about 70 million chances under Bielsa. So fast forward like 4 or 5 years, it's never going to happen. And the thing for me is, until he goes, the fan base will never be free of him, because they will always think, oh, we got Bamford here. So, you know, Bamford would hold the ball up. He'd do this, he'd do that. They make it up. He doesn't do any of that.
I've just seen two beautiful comments that I've got to interrupt you with. It's Alison and Jack. Who's going to pay 35 grand a week? And you've got to be fit to score 20 plus goals. There we go.
Well, there you go. But listen, as I always say with people, and hopefully we'll find out this summer where, you know, the 49 enterprises will prove my thought right. There's always takers for contracts. Not only contracts, you can divvy it up with a bigger signing on fee. The selling club could ask for less money, which I think we should at this point. I think it's best just to sever all ties. There are ways of getting around the 35,000 a week, people. It's not impossible. There's been worse players in history that have moved on and got higher wages at the same time. So I know it seems a long shot, but trust me, it isn't impossible. But the Leeds United should be looking at doing that. And one thing I will say is that I'm not saying that if he stays, it's an indictment on him, because he shouldn't have been given that contract. I will never go against the player for saying, you know what, I don't want to leave. I'm good here. I'm comfortable here. I'll see out the remaining 2 years. Yeah, exactly. I'm always on that side. But what I want to see, or at least hear rumors of, is that we've tried to at least move him on.
Abdullah said, late to stream. I hope everyone is doing okay after Wembley. Can't get over it, mate. Abdullah. Time is a great healer, my friend. It really is. This is why it is, Cage, isn't it? When we're doing these sort of things, it does help a lot, because these thoughts in here and actually speaking to someone about it is nice. But I can one that I'm going to put towards you as well. And what I would like to say, everybody, is I don't want this to be like an overtly negative conversation. It's very positive going forward. Leeds United have had some good news today, but we're just talking about the season, which ultimately, according to Cage and according to myself, has been a bit of a failure. Another one that I'd probably look at, a big one who 19 clean sheets. Stock high, it's the man between the sticks, the polo mint, the hologram. It's Illan Meslier. What are your thoughts on this guy? Have we got a stock high scenario again here?
Yeah, we do. And the thing is with this one, and this is what I've been thinking today, and it sucks that we think about these things through the day when we're just sitting down. But who comes in? Who comes in at championship? Listen, I've got names out the wazoo for the Premier League.
I've got a few names as well.
go on. Who would you suggest?
What about Patterson from Sunderland?
Yeah, the thing is though, how much is he going to cost as an English goalkeeper?
Well, true. I guess all we know is that Sunderland work on a Moneyball approach and they sell very, very easily. So I'm not 100% sure how much they'd be asking. But if they had Premier League interest, then I guess Carl Rushworth, another one. Yeah. It is. Let's be honest. It's slim pickings. But do you know what I look at? Do you know what I look at, Kagey? I'm going to put a stat to you that it really breaks my mental state when it comes to Illan Meslier. Goals prevented this season. I know we're not absolute stat merchants, but it was something like minus 4.1. And it was, I think he was 16th or 14th or 16th in the division. Save percentage was in the bottom 6 or 7. For me, that is an obvious weakness of the side. And we've got to I understand that we've got to look at this realistically and what Leeds are going to do. Farke called him. I think he said he was the best goalkeeper in the division at one point. So we're going to keep hold of him. But when we're being properly critical here and trying to actually improve the squad and be proactive, he has to be replaced, surely.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not a big fan, and I used to love Illan Meslier. I thought his ceiling was absolutely I thought he was through the sky, and he's regressed massively. And you saw his best period through the season was when he was hardly seeing shots. You know, that is when all the clean sheets started to come in. Was on an amazing winning run. Ampadu, Rodon were doing their thing. Kamara grew in front of him. It was all solid in front of him, and that was his best period. You know, and again, you look at the QPR, some of the goals he conceded in that. Yes, he's made a couple of absolutely brilliant saves, especially in the second leg against Norwich.
Yeah, shout out to
that amazing save. But there's more times where we're defending corners, it's flappy. It's flappy. Almost like 8 times out of 10, it's flappy. And yeah, if he's looking to move on, I wouldn't be upset. The only thing I would say is I even had a thought of a couple goalkeepers in Dan Bentley of Wolves or Strakosha from Brentford. But even I'm thinking there.
Strakosha, I like that shout. It's a good one.
Yeah. But I'm thinking, though, is he going to be a bit too expensive? Because obviously, we don't know how much these people are going to cost. These two aren't first choices at their current clubs. I think the Johnston one's kind of ship sailed because he's been injured quite a bit, hasn't he?
But Johnson's been a 5-year want for us, hasn't it? It's just
and that's unfortunate. The thing you have to look at with Championship, but the good thing is, as we saw with Ipswich, you don't have to have a great goalkeeper. Leicester were lucky; they had both, didn't they? They had a good team and a good goalkeeper. Ipswich went up with average goalkeeping, as did Southampton. So it's just about, I would say, if we have to keep Meslier, if we're not going to get the price that 49ers think he's worth, strengthen the team around him so he doesn't have to see so much of the ball. Because I do think we will be another possession-based team again in the coming season. I think we will be one of the strongest teams. So maybe he doesn't have to see so much of the ball again. But if you're not going to do that, then yes, replace him. But at this point, I don't know who. Honestly, I don't know who. If it's Premier League, I got loads of names for you. But at this level, I just think you need average goaltending or someone just that can keep you in a game.
But then the question comes, can he at points? I guess it's...
Yeah, he's very inconsistent.
And this is going to... I think, Cage, and we were speaking about it on your stream, I wonder how teams are going to set up against us next year. I wonder if there's going to be a little bit of actually, that 3-5-2. We fall back into a back 5 when Leeds have the ball, like the bottom 6 have done this season, not just Southampton, and had success. I wonder if that's going to start being a little bit more prevalent next year because Leeds have now had a full dossier. There's a full database of Leeds playing this way. And yeah, I'm actually surprised more teams didn't deploy that, to be quite honest with you, because at times it did feel like some of the left FC, didn't it? So I think it's going to be interesting to see how we strategize there. But yeah,
just quickly, instead of thinking about outside, do you think Klaassen could take the reins? Because it's quite interesting, isn't it, with Klaassen, that he's not really ever let us down in any game, has he, when he's come in?
How many games he played? What, I remember Birmingham. Is that it? Has he played
He
anymore?
played the 3 because remember that Darlow got injured when Meslier got stupidly sent off against
yeah.
Preston. Oh, that was ridiculous as well. But
Yeah.
you're thinking, okay, let's see what Darlow's got, and then he's injured.
But
So
he was in the was he in the Salford game as well? Was it Hull game? I can't remember which game he was in. It was like a cup game, and he was awful. He was really
yeah,
bad.
and that was another thing. I mean, the Darlow thing is a joke. I
Oh,
think that I thought when he came in, he was coming to challenge as number 1 because
I
I'm
did.
thinking, why is he leaving Newcastle to come down a level to then just sit on the bench? But he's literally done that and
But
been
wasn't he in?
content.
But what he was at Hull the season before, wasn't he? Playing week in
Yeah,
week
he
out. I'm
was.
pretty sure he was. Yeah.
Yeah, he was on loan at Hull City. And the joke is, if he had actually stayed at Newcastle with Nick Pope's injury and Dubravka's form, he would have probably got Premier League games this season. That's the funny thing. But the fact he was happy to come down and settle on the bench, I don't like that. I'll be real with you. I think it reminds me of Rob Holding and all those kind of guys that are just happy to sit on the bench. Not for me. I think that we should try and move him off the books as well. And maybe keep Klaassen as number 2 and then, possibly get a new number 1 if they sell Meslier for a good price.
I think people undervalue the goalkeeping position. I think because they don't see a lot of the ball. If you're a decent team, anyway, I think people really devalue it. But we've seen even in the build-up. Look, we're all football fans. We all watch football. Illan Meslier, for me, consistently struggles to pass it to Joe Rodon's leading foot. This is what we're talking about here. We're talking about just basics from a goalkeeper passing the ball 10 yards. And that's actually the biggest problem I find with him, Cage. It's the build-up. I think the build-up is it's not been good enough this season. It's not all about us, the shot stopping, because we've seen us keep 19 clean sheets as a collective. But that's my big problem with it. It's the build-up with him, I think.
Yeah, or he kicks it out of play. I mean, that's usually his
Yeah.
favorite one. Yeah, I mean, it's real tough. I mean, it's a volatile position, but I guess the best thing that they could have done, I mean, Stoke absolutely beat everyone to it with Victor Johansson, but imagine getting him for $1 million, then having the pleasure of selling Meslier. That would have been perfect for me.
What are we doing? What are we
Yeah,
doing
that would
there?
have been perfect for me. Yeah, absolutely. It would have been absolutely perfect. $1 million on a keeper like that's cash money. You're laughing with that kind of deal, and then you can just let go of Meslier and say, have a good one.
Yeah, and it sort of brings you back to the days of Kasper Schmeichel signing for $1 million, doesn't it? You kind of realize what you've got there. It's like, what?
Yeah.
How have we done that? But yeah, mate. So I think what I wanted to get onto next was shout out Super Chat. Sujal, big fan of yours as well, KG. We were all despondent after Wembley. It was good to see Connor, KG, Joe Smiley showing more positivity. But next season, it is a must do. Thanks for your donation, mate. Really appreciate that. I just wanted to get onto Archie Gray. It feels a necessity, doesn't it, at the minute? And maybe we're a little bit confused at this moment in time because Dortmund are there, KG. And look, we know what Dortmund do with young English talent, and there's a plethora, there's a portfolio there, for Dortmund. How do you see that? Is that a we must keep no matter what, or is it one of those where you realistically turn around and think homegrown? There's a valuation here on Archie. Every club is a selling club when it comes to it.
Yeah, and listen, again, credit to Parag. He didn't commit either way, which was very smart.
Yeah, I thought that.
Say, no, we're going to keep Archie. He's one of our own. He said, look, if an offer comes in that's good, we might have to just say yes. And I think that is very, very smart by the owner to do that, because we have seen big interest. We know scouts from Liverpool have been to see him. There is massive interest in Archie Gray, and I would like to see him stay, of course. I would hope it's going to be that I'll give you another year, and if we don't go up, please let me go. But if the offer's not eye-watering, then absolutely keep him, and let's try and start him in the midfield.
Talk to me about eye-watering. What are we thinking here?
Oh,
because come on, 50 million is ridiculous. This is almost of the notion that, remember when Calvin Phillips, Leeds fans were saying it's 80-90 million for Calvin. It was never going to be that price. It was. I think with Archie, we have to be realistic with where we are as well, KG.
Well, I mean, if you include add-ons, right, and a sell-on percentage, let's go with that.
Okay.
Anything up to between 35 and 40.
Yeah,
because clubs do have to pay for the potential as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he's got things against him, like he hasn't scored a goal yet, and things like that. But people can see the potential is there, and if they want it that bad, they will pay the money. And that's the way I see it as well. He's only going to be worth what the buying club will pay for him in the end, and So we'll see there. But yeah, I'd be disappointed if it was in the 20. I'll be honest with you, because we've seen worse players go for 30, 35.
I think
So yeah,
I think with Leeds, that's kind of how I see it. If we were to get something from him, that
yeah,
35 plus add-ons is probably
yeah,
quite realistic, isn't it? I think.
yeah. And then of course, the ugly side that no one wants to talk about. It's all profit for the books, so
Yep.
it
Yep.
gives you more wiggle room.
Yeah, it does. Homegrown players. So I mean, ultimately, then, Cage, you did the. We're just going to get into the longer stuff in a sec, but did Parag's statement today, finishing on a positive, did it fill you with a little bit of hope?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, everything is in context. He has to back it up with signings, but not going on to the previous ownership. But he's not saying anything stupid like we're going to be in Europe in 5 years and do work.
Forgot about that one. Forgot about
Yeah,
that
remember,
one.
I always remember. I'm scarred by that one because I got daydreaming, man. I got giddy.
You were thinking of yesteryear with getting back to Decor and Kelly and Ian
Yeah,
Hart.
that was me. There's me looking at. Oh, I wonder if we could get Florian Wirtz one time. Let me just see this.
Just play Football Manager.
Yeah. I was like, oh, we could sign these guys for 2 years, but no, let's come out with smart, sensible statements.
Yeah.
Obviously, though, as we all know, it has to be backed up with the right signings. And the thing is, if they don't get it right, it's a collective failure. So if we don't end up at the start of the season with actual proper left backs, proper right backs, so people can play in the position, centre backs, obviously, we're going to need those. Do not want to see Ampadu back as centre back. He did fine, but we need him in midfield. That's where he excels. If they don't get that stuff right, then it's a collective failure on both of their parts, because this is a full partnership between the two. They're fully collaborating on who to get, and we also have to utilize the squad more. So, yeah, I am in good spirits, and it's more to do as well with the quality of the league. If three of the teams were a bit tougher from the Prem, I'd be a little bit more worried. It will be interesting. We've just seen Company leave Burnley today for Bayern Munich. Failing up, lovely. We see Sheffield United, they're going for a full rebuild at the moment with Burnley. They're trying to sever his contract and they've let go of a few others. Luton, and they might lose Alfie Doughty, who was clearly their best player overall last season. So there's things there where I look at them and go,
Barkley as well.
Yeah, Barkley as well. He's going to be joining Unai Emery. So we're looking at it, and yeah, we're going to lose players, but it's about what they recruit in place. Now, they're not going to get another Somerville, but can you get the quality that will match up to the team? Can you fill in the gaps? Can you get an attacking midfielder? Those are going to be the questions that will need answering.
And the rotations in-house as well. We can dot it around. I've said this today, KG, 3 or 4 really good acquisitions, and obviously dotting maybe a few more loan signings, maybe free agent signings in there as well, but 3 or 4. Yeah. And one of them, KG, where you look at it, or maybe a couple of them where you look at it and go, "Ooh, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that." Similarly to what we were doing with Ampadu last season, we thought that is a terrific signing for that price. Brilliant. I think there needs to be a couple of cornerstones like that, and obviously we're going to deal with what's happening with the loans and players going out. But I think we've just got to be really, really smart this season. And we're not going to have probably the money, the financial capital of the 3 coming down. That's obvious, but that's where you've got to be more strategic, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. We do need to exploit the low market a bit more. The only thing that it worries me with that is the way that we've used loans this year, and I include Jed Spence in that, is when you're the loaning club and you look at what happened last season, are you going to really loan to Leeds United?
It's not just last season, though, is it? It's been for a while now as well. It's like we've got a big portfolio of bad loans, apart from Ben White.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, we got to deal with Farker. And if they look at collectively, let's see what their loan record is. And how many minutes did Jaden Anthony play? How many minutes did Connor Roberts play? When Jed Spencer was there, did he play right back? Oh, he played left back. You have to look at that, because clubs do look at things like that. So I just hope that this season hasn't handicapped us going forward into dipping in the loan market. I think there's a loan player, I think that, at Forest. Help me with the name, Connor, because I think you will have said it before. Andrew Omabamidele, yeah. I think he's worked with Farker before, right?
How's at Norwich, yep.
He's not getting game time at Forest under Nuno. That would be a decent sign at this level. What say you?
Yeah, lovely addition. I mean, I mentioned him at the start of the season, and I thought once again it was a bit touch and go, because I don't know if Forest had brought in Murillo then, but they brought in another centre back, and I can't remember who it was. But it looked like his game time was going to be limited a little bit. And then obviously we went for Rodon, didn't we? So it was like, I mean, Rodon was a terrific signing. It was really out the blue. What a brilliant signing that was. But I think, KG, a lot of it is in house, right? We can get this, and I just mentioned the signings, but you put Archie, keep hold of Archie and Ampadu in the midfield. Pascal, we know, is going to miss probably 10 games a season, but Pascal, a lot of the ball playing out from the back, I felt, was funneled through Joe Rodon when Pascal went out. And I actually thought Joe Rodon developed a hell of a lot in that aspect. I thought at the start he was a little bit shaky, but he developed a lot in terms of ball playing. But with the reliance a little bit more on Pascal when he comes back in, set pieces was looking a little bit more dangerous and defensively astute. That even just in-house, KG, then potentially got, if we're still playing a 4-2-3-1, Gruev and Kamara on the bench. Not bad. Not too bad. Dan James, yeah.
Dan James at this level is, well, you've seen what he's done this season. He is good at this level. This is his level, if we're being real. And I think he will excel again next season. So if no one comes in for him, then I hope that we do keep Dan James. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. We have got a good nucleus that will be here. And it's just about adding to it. It's important. We have to add to it. And it's got to be different kind of profiles. It's got to be with a bit of steel, bit of character as well, which we kind of lacked. You saw that towards the end of the season. Everyone was like within themselves a little bit, barring like the Somerville and things like that. But we need a little bit more doggedness in this division. And that's why I said, I don't know about Kiefer Moore for the new season. I don't know. But that's why I suggested him in January, because that's what we were missing at the time. We were getting shut out in the middle. We didn't have that physical presence up front, and he would have been perfect. Dan James is probably the only one that crosses the ball in, and it looks like it's a wasted cross, but it really isn't. It's just that we don't have anyone running in from midfield or that dominant striker, and he would have helped with that. So it's about getting those kind of profiles in this division. Let me make that clear, people. I love my techie players, but in this division, it's a different story. You're coming up against rugged old centre backs that just want to rough you up. You have to be prepared for that.
I'd absolutely love us to dip in and just get a Spanish number 10 from nowhere. I'd absolutely love that. Just a med number 10, a techie player. That would be lovely at this level, I think. And we've seen it before, haven't we? That'd be brilliant. That's a lot of people talking about Carvalho as our number 10. Will he come back to the Championship for another season? I'm not too sure. But yeah, these are the players. I mean, what an addition that was for Hull City. So yeah, it's definitely something that Leeds have to focus on. And as I keep saying, Jordan Miles, it's his first crack at the whip. So let's hope he can do it. I mean, KG, threats next season. Obviously, we don't know. It's all prior now. But obviously, you look at Burnley, Sheffield United, you mentioned a rebuild. Luton, we were speaking about it on your stream. They almost look right at this moment in time, and the noise you're hearing around it. They've obviously built a pretty decent, Championship side. Carlton Morris in there, I think, is going to be very, very decent at this level. I think they're probably going to be the most dangerous ones at this moment in time with Sheffield United going through a rebuild and Burnley having maybe a little bit of a different philosophy / ideology.
Yeah. And also, I mean, it all depends because I don't know about you, but I've been hearing or reading rumors of Stoke recruiting really well this year. I don't know what
they sort of did last year as well, didn't they? Okay. We thought they did, but
yeah, because they've been linked with Jay Clark-Salter for like 6 million. I'm like, well, how? Like, what's going on here? But of course, you just never know. Like we say, I guess probably 1 in 100 people would have said Ipswich are going to do back-to-back promotions. But yeah, if you're looking at threats, I guess Sheffield United in terms of if they get to keep Harmer. You mentioned to me on WhatsApp earlier Cameron Archer, but I think his future's unresolved because Villa have got a buyback on him for about 13 million.
They have, buyback.
Yeah. So you got to see with that. I don't, Cameron Archer's numbers in the Prem weren't great, but you have to again put it into context of the team he was like. And I mean, I'm not being horrible, but they were horrible. Over 100 goals conceded. That team just wasn't conducive for a striker like Cameron Archer who needs service. They did not have the place to supply him. Harmer is going to be dangerous, but I can imagine a couple Premier League teams looking at him because he did really well.
I'd be stunned if he went down. I'd be really shocked if he came back to the Championship.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. When you look at the clubs that have come down, there's nothing that really terrifies me. I guess the thing I'm only terrified is our club. I just don't know what we're going to do. So the only people that can fail this season is us ourselves. We really do have a good hand to play. let's do it. We got to do it. We have to do it. Otherwise, we end up being Norwich and West Brom, solid championship teams with no guarantee of going up. And you want to keep on the side of having that little bit of stardust in your team and building on that.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously the 18% reduction in parachute payments. I think that I've made this point a couple of times, Cage. I think I did it on your stream yesterday as well. The pressure is massively on this season, isn't it? It is huge on this season with the quality that's going to be coming down the season afterwards.
Yeah, and Parag said that himself. He said it was crucial this season. It's even, more crucial next season. They know what it is. And I know people think that they're in it for the money. Of course, all owners are in it for the money, but they're not making any money at this level. You know what I mean? They aren't getting whatever dividends and prizes they would have got in the Premier League, or the sponsorships they would have got.
It's that stadium, isn't it? They're obsessed with starting the stadium. They can't do that at this level.
Well, he says that they can. He says that they can make waves to do it. Proof will be in the pudding with that, because we've been hearing about this stadium for years. All right, the stadium's been improved for years, but no, it is vital that we got this season. We cannot do it a third year. By the time the third year comes, forget Dan James, forget all of these guys. Ampadu, they would all have to go, I think.
Back to Tongi and Brownie.
Oh no, please, no. Oh,
Tongi, Brownie, and Kenny.
Yeah, Paul Green, David Norris. That was the period where we just had about 8 central midfielders, and they were all crap.
Oh, they were dark days. I saw someone at Wembley the other day, and I turned to my brother Jack, and he was in. You remember the old horrible gold kit that I think Zalewski got sent off in when we lost. It was Matt Smith, wasn't it? Matt Smith got sent off, and they were in that awful. I turned around to my brother and I said, "Why is he wearing that? It's the worst kit."
I'm surprised it's still in one piece, because I used to wash those Macron kits, and they'd be done by the second wash. So he's done well to keep it that long.
He has. There's a few rumors, to be fair, going around about apparently Leeds getting this pretty good sponsor in the next couple of days, obviously, because Boxed, I think, was a 1-year deal. Boxed was a 1-year deal. So I don't know if Flamingo Land are going to go hard, but we'll have to wait and see what sort of deal we get done, mate. But that could be quite interesting. A lot of people saying Red Bull. Jack saying Red Bull in the comment section there. We'll have to wait.
I'll take that. I'd take
Red Bull in the Championship would be nice and lucrative, you'd expect.
Yeah. You mentioned also in WhatsApp, and let's get people's thoughts, because you wasn't sure about Sammy Schmodix. What's your doubts on that one?
I just wonder if him and Perot are just more of a similar profile in terms of just dropping deep and picking up. They like to mold themselves into that number 10 a little bit, don't they? And I feel obviously Tyrese Dolan was a little bit I think he helped him a lot in terms of a little bit of combination there. And I just wonder, in a 4-2-3-1, Sammy Schmodix alone, number 9. Perot's going to be staying with the club. Is Rutter going to be staying with the club? I think I'm just trying to figure out how that would work. Maybe you can enlighten me, mate. I'm not.
Schmodix is an out-and-out attacking midfielder. There's no striker. There's nothing striker about him. He's one of those that likes to play off the shoulder from that, just outside the box kind of area. The thing I have with Jorginho is that I'd love to see him out on the right. I think
what you mean in his natural position.
I know, crazy, isn't it? Absolutely wild. But he just, when we saw him in the second leg against Norwich, where he started to get his mojo back, it all started from a run down the right where he took on about 3 players. It came to nothing in the end because he ran it out a bit. But all of a sudden, he got his mojo back. And I just feel that he'd have a bit of an easy time drawing more people to the wing and allowing a natural. Imagine if you have a Schmodix running in at that point and just knocking them in. And also with Sammy, he's an absolute S-house. I don't want to swear on here. He is an S-house.
We know.
Yeah. Leeds fans will know and probably love him for that. But he's a goal threat. I know people talk about playmakers, but I feel that we've got enough of that. We've got enough players that love to pass it here and there. I think we need people that are just going to strike the ball. And people talk about his goal record the previous year with 5, but in the previous year to that, I think he had 15. It's just one of those things. I think that I do think that he could make the step up, and I think he's banking on himself to do it as well if clubs come in for him. But I think if clubs don't come in for him, which we've seen in the Premier League many times before, Ivan Toney being one, he was waiting for a Premier League club, but eventually went to Brentford. I do think that if it's a reasonable price, his profile would be absolutely perfect, and he's a leader on the pitch as well. It just kind of ticks a few boxes for me in terms of what we need in that attacking midfield area. I also said Jordan James, who is another Welsh guy, which I'm sure Daniel Farke would love. He got 8 goals from attacking midfield and many different areas on the pitch for Birmingham City. But I think again, he's looking. You know who's looking at Jordan James? Gasparini. So if he's going for him, you got to say, you know what, Gasparini, he's yours, man. Not looking for you, man. Europa League winners. But that's what I'm saying. So I've gone for a raw talent and kind of established talent at this level. So I'm open to suggestions. People said Callum O'Hare. I didn't realize he was out of contract, but I got to think he's going to look to the Prem.
Yeah, Coventry have got a lot of nice assets there, haven't they? Van Ewijk, Ben Sheaf's brilliant in the midfield as well. Callum O'Hare, I mean, imagine that, Cage. You're just having that silky S house in the midfield as well. And yeah, Sammy Schmodix and Callum O'Hare, they'd be. But then again, you know, Callum O'Hare pushes up a little bit, doesn't he? Obviously, if we're talking about Schmodix in the number 10, don't know how that would be. Would they free each other up? Because obviously then you'd have to put Callum O'Hare as like rotation. You wouldn't put him wide right or wide left, would you? So
no.
Maybe it's one or the other, you'd presume. I'm not going to say what someone just said in the chat, but I bet Leeds. This is one that I'm not saying we should. No. I'm not saying we should, but they did go in. They did go in for him at the beginning of the season, and he's been talking about experience. So we'll wait and see on that, my friend. We'll wait and see.
I know. But listen, we've just talked about different profiles. So we're going to have Gruev, Kamara, Ampadu, and Kenny McLean.
Yeah, it's gonna the experience thing is gonna be huge, isn't it? Someone just said, Ricky just said, "Con, would you take Mowat back?" You know, he's just what we've been speaking about, mate. Mowat is Kenny McLean, without a gym membership. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be. I knew if that would land, but I'm not 100% sure, KG, how we will incorporate experience with this, man. I'm not 100% sure how we'll do.
Okay, I've got a name. How about this? We obviously need centre backs, and I don't know if he's going to continue in the Prem. But what about if we try and get Craig Dawson? 34 years old.
Craig Dawson.
And he's solid defensively, definitely gives you an attacking threat from set pieces. If he's willing to drop down a division, I would take Craig Dawson.
Yeah, I can't imagine in the stage of his career as well. He's looking for a Hail Mary when it comes to wages. Surely he'd be like willing to drop down. And a Leeds United as a club, he can't have that many. He wouldn't have that many offers, would he? Maybe an extension on a 1-year deal. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, Craig Dawson, not a bad shout. Is that your Joe Rodon replacement?
Oh God, isn't that addition?
Yeah.
No, obviously we'll see what happens with Joe Rodon. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's difficult at this level to suggest names because you don't know the willingness of the player to drop down. You know, you mentioned earlier about Aaron Cresswell. I don't know if he's going to drop down, even though he's also 34 like Dawson. But does he see himself as a championship player at this stage? I don't know.
I think there's a bit of a story arc there, maybe going back to Ipswich, but then you do look at this Leif Davis, isn't it? There's Leif Davis there, so you can't imagine he's going to get ahead of him. Yeah, there's a bit of a story arc there. Scott McKenna at Forest, absolutely not. He can't turn. No, not for me. Adam Lallana, apparently he's going to Southampton.
He's going back to Southampton, yeah.
Which is a nice little addition. These guys are all off to the Prem. Clark, imagine, didn't have a great end to the season. Brentford's gone quiet on him. Jack Clark, that would be.
You want to run the time?
Highlight reel stuff. Clark, he's developed so much as a player, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has.
Watching him now. Clark, O'Hare, Schmodix, Shea Adams, Whitaker, Sarah. I don't think the interesting thing with the midfield now as well is with someone like Gabby Sarah, who we've been speaking a lot about. You know, what did he get? 11 goals from midfield. Got something like 10 or 11 assists as well. He's complete. I think he probably will be going to the Premier League. But what I would say is, are you looking at a scenario now, KG, where if we are managing to get Ampadu and Archie in the midfield, are we even needing a midfielder now? Because you've obviously got that rotation on the bench as well with Kamara and Gruev, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. But of course, it all depends on if we actually acquire a number 10. You know, I'm more than happy with Archie being that hybrid 8/10 because we know Archie likes to have a shot. He does need a consistent run in that position. But yeah, you think of Ampadu starting, Gruev in, as a sub. You know, I think Farka trusts Gruev probably more than Kamara, maybe at this stage.
Feels like it, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it's right to let one of the two go, and it all depends on Farka in that sense. Because I do think we need two options in that attacking midfield. I think that's where we've been locked up throughout the season. It's been that little area where you've got that 10 that will ghost past people, get into the box, arrive late, and get you a goal, or at least have an attempt on goal. We've lacked that this season.
Do you think this would just be good? Do you think this would just be good for vibes? Like just get him in. Why not? No footballing ability. It's just like at last we're closing the book. Ryan Kent.
I've never known a player that's lived off one goal against Celtic my whole life. This is unbelievable. You know what? I feel like you mentioned Che Adams there, Ryan Kent. It feels like these names are Adam Lafondra, Gary Mackay-Steven,
there would have been a time though where you'd have absolutely bit someone's hands off for Adam Lafondra. Adam Lafondra back in the day. You'd have taken
I was there. I was absolutely there, but we didn't have no money. But we just know how bad it was, how much money we didn't have at the time. Yeah. But yeah, I would have loved Adam Lafondra at the time, but in that era, of course. But we was always linked to the same players, and it feels like with Ryan Kent, Che Adams. Just hurry up and sign for Wolves, will you please? So I don't have to see any more Che Adams shouts. Please hurry up.
There's a fair few wingers as well being discussed. You know, Philogene, Clark. There's a few others in here as well. Mikey Johnston, who did so well for West Bromwich Albion this season as well. You're not having him, Mikey Johnston? No. Press merchant.
He's a cardio merchant, man.
Yeah.
No, this is the problem. When you start to get in players like that, that's when you become real championship.
Well, he's not techie at all. He's not your Philogene or your Clark at all.
No.
Seen Charlie Taylor in there as well. Don't get me excited.
What a shot! What a shock. I'm surprised. Hey, listen, remember we spoke about it. I'm surprised you haven't campaigned for Josh Brownhill, the Xavi of the championship.
Listen, I thought he was a free agent. I got excited earlier on. He's not. He's got another year.
Oh, okay. So he's going to be there.
Watch him. Yeah, the Xavi of the championship. Tavernier, a Leeds fan too, and good set piece taker. Yeah, maybe in the Premier League. Maybe in the Premier League. I don't think Tavernier will be coming to the Championship, to be honest.
Yeah, and he's. I think he's. It's surprising actually. He's actually older than you think he is. I think he's like 30 or 31 now.
He's got a good gig as well at Rangers, hasn't he?
Yeah,
Europe, probably most years. Captain of the club. I don't really see why you come down south at that age, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and also, but the thing is that the penalty gig will be free once Somerville's gone. There'll be no arguing, so he'll get to take the pens.
Yeah, Johnny Rose always one that I think is very, very achievable, especially if Somerville goes. Look at the SB. Is this a fake name? No, are they just separate names?
I know Shanklin's a real one. That's Lawrence Shanklin, but yeah, I don't know. Dude. I don't watch SPL too tough, so I couldn't tell you, man.
Nah, definitely not. Kagey, were you speaking about Sesko? I hope
that's Mike, isn't it? That's Mike. No. Mike and I have a little joke there because he's always talking about when we go up to the Prem, we should sign Sesko. And again, right, yeah. And obviously, if you're in the Prem and you're one of the big teams, you're probably going to sign him. But you never know, man. If you move quickly, you know. hey, you know what? People laugh, but who would have ever thought in Nottingham Forest's first year they would have signed Keylor Navas on a loan? Crazy. It's all about the ambition, and if your owners can sell the project to people, and because we haven't done that properly for players, people think it's unachievable. Now maybe Sesko is out of the realm. Me and Mike joke about that one. Yeah, we talk about that one. But there are players that you could get once you're in the Prem. But obviously, we're not dealing at that level at this point now.
We always get this one as well, don't we, Kagey? Lewis O'Brien's always won every single window.
This is another one of your guys. I remember you talking about this guy like he was in yesterday. Oh my Lord.
Well, I love how my balance is Brownhill and Lewis O'Brien is Xavi and Iniesta. The two least techie players you'll probably get. Oh,
jeez, man. Oh, you love those guys, man. Brownhill, Lewis O'Brien. Boy, Lord have mercy.
Get the gang back together.
Because they were never here. They were never here.
Wish they were. We'll leave it there, everybody. Listen, if you want a little bit of a additional side to this, we were on Kagey's channel yesterday. Make sure you check that out. A little bit more of a proper season review. Carlos saying I want Lewis O'Brien every year. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, we'll get into more stuff a little bit later on down the line. We might, we definitely will collaborate together again. It's been great to get Kagey back on. We've got Kagey. We've had nearly 1,300 people in here, mate. So it's been great to get you back on, a familiar face, and someone whose ball knowledge is far superior to mine. So it's been great having him on. Guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Once again, Kagey, thanks for coming on, mate. And
it's been a pleasure, man. And listen, I've been looking at the chat, but shout out to everyone that's loved the show tonight. Hope you've enjoyed it. And yeah, listen, we'll see where we go this summer, man. It's going to be very interesting for Leeds United. Hopefully it's all good news. And we sell the players that are worth what they're worth. Parag did say that as well, which is great to hear. Hopefully it's all good and we can get into the new season. I guess, you know what, the reality of the new season won't hit until the fixture list comes out. That's when it hits me. It's like, oh, geez. But you know what? Let's enjoy the summer.
100%, man. Oxford away, pending. Right, guys, we'll leave it there. Catch you in a bit. Cheers.